Hi everyone, it's Mike here. So today I'm participating in an international Pass It On Conspiracy video hop. So there's a group of 10 of us and we're each sending or passing on a particular stencil and stamp with some ephemera to use in our projects. So because there's 10 of us in the link and it is international, as sometimes happens, things do go missing in the post. So what I've got is a replacement from the one that I was sent from Marwa in Dubai, which went missing in the post. So mine will come direct from Texas, but it's the same stencil and the same stamp that Marwa used. So everything's great again. So I'll show you what I've received in my envelope and then my project, and then I'll join with you again at the end. So this is the replacement envelope that I received from Jamie as Marwa's got lost in the post from Dubai. So inside here is the same stencil and the same stamp. There's the stamp, there's the stencil, and a selection. These are just the instructions for the hop, and these are some bits of ephemera that I've got to incorporate into my art journal page. And then when I'm done, I pass on the stencil and the stamp and replace the ephemera, and I'm going to be sending mine on to Louise. So I'm going to go and create something. So this is a page from my small circle art journal, and this is one of the napkins that was included in my envelope of ephemera with the stamp and the stencil. So all I'm using is the Mod Podge to glue it down, and then once it's nice and dry I'm just going to trim off the edges. The video has been speeded up to 4 times its normal length because we have a 10-minute time constraint for the length of these videos, which is why we're going so fast. So once we're all trimmed out, I'm going to break out my white gesso and give the page a complete coating of white gesso so that I can knock that background pattern, just make it disappear a little bit into the background. So it's a little bit prominent and I don't want it to be too visible through all the layers of paint. And once that's dry, I'm going to grab the Mod Podge again, and using some more of the ephemera that I was sent in the envelope, I'm just going to randomly stick pieces of this script and like postcardy kind of background paper to the page as well. Once all my fragments of that script postcard type background is stuck down, I'm going to give it a quick blast with the heat gun to dry it off, and then grab my scissors and just trim off the excess from around the borders of the page before we start to add our first colour, which is a beautiful periwinkle blue. So this is the beautiful blue paint, and I'm going to apply this with a baby wipe. And the reason I'm doing it with a baby wipe is because I want it to blend into the background. I don't want any brush marks, and I don't want any particular, I just want it to be more in the background rather than prominent. And I'm just going to add a second layer and a second darker coat around the outside. And once that's dry, I'm going to bring out some titanium white, and doing exactly the same technique, I'm going to apply that to the bottom of my circle journal page, and just add a little bit of white mottling up into the top part of that blue section also. And when I'm happy with the coverage, I'm going to bring up the heat gun and then we can move on. So this is the stencil. So I thought the stencil looked like a picket fence, and I thought it'd be great to actually apply the green archival ink, this is leaf green archival ink, over the top of the stencil, and when you lift it off it's going to leave that white kind of picket fence effect behind it. So we have green in the background and then that white in the foreground, which, like I said, looks like a picket fence in my mind. it might look like something else to you, but I'm just going to clean that stencil off before putting it away. So this is the stamp. So this is the Tiger Lily archival ink, and I'm going to stamp a selection of these flower heads onto some book text from my stash, and then I'm going to switch out the ink. I'm going to bring in the saffron ink, and I'm going to also do some yellow ones too. So once they're all stamped out, I'm going to grab a 1 3/8 circle punch. This just happens to be an old Stampin' Up! One that I have, which fits rather nicely around that flower head, and I'm just going to punch them all out. And once they're all punched out, I'm going to grab the Mod Podge and start gluing them to my page. Because there's quite a lot of them and it is kind of a repetitive process and time is of the essence, I'll show you putting a few of them down and then I'll jump to the end where I'm drying them off. So now we're all nice and dry, I'm just going to use the final bit of ephemera that was in the envelope with the stencil and the stamp, and I'm just going to glue those into the top section of my page, almost like floating musical clouds. So now those fragments are all nice and dry, I'm going to grab some titanium white paint that I've already used and my fan brush. I'm just going to mix the paint with a little bit of water, and then using the fan brush I'm going to add some white splatters to the top section of the page. And to use up the remaining white paint I'm going to grab a craft sponge, that's why I've not wiped it up, and then I'm going to apply that white paint with that craft sponge just around those clouds, just to soften and give the impression of a floaty kind of sky. So now everything's dry, I'm just going to trim off the excess, and then we need to just add a few scribbles and black outlines. So I've grabbed my FUDE ball pen and I'm just going to add some scribbly doodly lines around all the flowers, just to make them pop off the page a little bit. I know it doesn't sound or doesn't look as cohesive as it should do at the moment, but bear with me, I have a plan. So these are the Tim Holtz Small Talk stickers, and looking through I found this perfect phrase that says out of limitations comes creativity, which is perfect for this journal page because I'm limited with the resources that I can use with the ephemera, the stamp and the stencil, and I've had to create a page from just those limited resources. So as you can see, I'm now tying all the black in. I've brought the jet black archival ink out and I've just created a border around my page. And that is pretty much all I'm going to do. So this is the Gorgeous Grunge stamp set. I just thought the sky wanted a few more speckles in it, and that's kind of tied it all together and made it a bit more cohesive. And now I'm calling this page done. I'm happy. Well, that was loads of fun creating something with very limited resources that you've been sent. So this is the envelope with the stencil and the stamp and some ephemera in there for Louise. And to see what Louise does with what I've sent her, then I've put a link to her channel, YouTube channel, in the description area below. So don't forget, if you've enjoyed this video, please remember to give it a thumbs up, share with all your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of the video. Right, I'm off to the post office. Bye for now.